Oh, the one I like that runs all the time. I had the very first Citroen Maserati SM ever sold in the West Coast, and it still is kept brand new by the current owner. I also had a Rolls Royce for 30 years, but my real favorite was a Ferrari. I had Ferrari, red Ferrari.
All right. Well, speaking of favorite cars, what's your favorite Disney ride?
Obviously, a red fire engine.
There you
A
go.
little fire engine on Main Street. Anybody ever ride in that? I talked Walt into it because I wanted one.
Obviously, you're a Disney, Legend Imagineer, but let's talk a little bit about, you worked on other things like the 1984 UFO at the Olympic Games. Does anybody know about that?
Is there anybody here old enough to have been alive in 1984 and seen the closing ceremony? Wow! Well, you can go on the internet today. People are still arguing over that thing because there were 90,000 people in the Coliseum all drunk, and this flying saucer comes down from Mars with 2 police cars chasing it, police helicopters, no visible means of holding it up. I had a tricky way and I did that, yes. 50-foot diameter, David Walper wanted this big crazy thing and we did it, and they're still arguing over it. No, that was really the Martians.
All right, he told me a story backstage. I want you to share with everybody because it's such a sweet and emotional story, but I know you worked on a lot of attractions, Haunted Mansion, Autopia, and several things, but maybe you want to share with the audience today one of your favorite things about the monorail and what you experienced.
Well, that Walt wanted a monorail, and he literally said, Bobby, I want you to get started right away, and he walked away. That meant I have a pencil and a paper, and I get to do that whole thing with no interference by anybody. So that first monorail, the Marford, if you like the looks of it, that was about a 10-minute idea. And then you just keep going. But funny thing, in recent years, I'll have fan clubs. I have a guy walk up and he's got a little bit of gray and his kids are grown. And he says, and he's starting to weep a little bit, they let me ride in the nose of a monorail. I've been looking for you forever to thank you. It's very emotional.
Okay, you worked on 4 attractions for the World's Fair.
Yes, we did 4 of them. The big one I did was the Ford Magic Skyway, making Ford motor vehicles and convertibles act like actual ride vehicles without designing ride vehicles. We had the Carousel of Progress. I designed a little dog in the front row. Yes, okay. And then Small World. I got to design the boat and the boat drop for that thing. But the big one was Abraham Lincoln. Walt wanted a mechanical president who would actually behave. That was a very emotional job because a tall, skinny guy, our mechanical parts are too big to fit in the body, but it was a heck of a hard thing to design. Everybody else put all the dressings and the head and the hands on it. People thought it was an actor. There's no way a machine can be Abraham Lincoln. They would throw things in the actor's face and it would bounce right off. That set the stage for believable animation in 1964.
Let me ask you, as a kid, did you play with Lego, erector sets, Tinker Toys?
Oh yeah, I was the kind of kid that my father would give me a present when I'm 4 or 5 years old. I'd play with it one day and take it all apart, and then it wouldn't go back together. The next one was Tinker Toys. Anybody remember Tinker Toys? Oh yeah, you could make anything you could dream, and it was sticks and a little hub. And that was followed by an erector set. Do you know how many things you could build your way? Because I always wanted to make something that didn't exist. The erector set. Every little boy should have an erector set Get your father with the big one, with the big wheels and the electric motor. You can really have fun with that.
Okay, so Disneyland was built in a year, even under a year, wasn't it?
Oh, very short period of time. In fact, I think from the time they started digging earth, it was just under 12 months from the time they started in Anaheim before we had an opening day. It takes 8 years to do a theme park today. Walt did that in less than a year.
Let's talk a little bit about that, like project management, over collaboration, too many meetings.
We don't have no meetings. You have a short, small team of people. In those days, people had their own ideas and they took responsibility for their actions. And the trick was, they knew what they had to do, the time was short. They'd go off and do it, make their own decisions. It was up to Walt to catch them if they were going the wrong direction. That's why Walt learned to walk around all the time and pay attention to everything. That's how we go fast. No meetings. Everybody's hands on the product at all times.
Was there ever a time while Disneyland's being built that you had the time, you're taking a little break, 15 minutes, grab some water or coffee, and you looked around and went, this is going to be the most transformational, amazing thematic experience in the world?
We were just hustling, trying to get the thing to work because Walt wanted us to finish it. It wasn't until we started closing in September, Mondays and Tuesdays, he could take a deep breath and try to fix everything that broke. But around Christmas time, all of a sudden, tremendous crowds started to show up, and we looked at each other and thought, this thing might actually work.
All right, Bob, one last question here. I hope you're okay. I want to ask you this. Was there one life lesson that Walt taught you that basically you carried with you your whole life?
If you're going to do something, and maybe if it's mechanical or architecture or whatever, make sure you write a really good story, a believable story, and then faithfully follow that story with all the details that you have to execute for a story. Never lose your way, never let a committee give you production notes that interfere, so that you are going to do it right, and you're going to do it a faithful idea all the way to the end, and those are the ones that work. And those are the only ones I ever do.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.